I'm Ted Brown, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this edition of Chicagoland Journal, featuring vital information for the consumer in and around Chicago. Today's program is devoted to those of you who have money problems. Maybe you're drowning in debt, or perhaps you have less than good credit as a result of past problems, and you just can't shake it so you can make those purchases of things you need. These problems can be so destructive for families and individuals. They can even affect a person's mental and physical health. Chicagoland Journal has learned of a light at the end of that long, dark tunnel, and it's a light held high by Chicago's own Scott Tucker. In the course of today's program, we'll of course be talking to Scott, and we'll also be hearing from some of the people he has helped out of the financial doldrums. You'll find these stories to be amazing and touching. At the same time, something that could happen in your life. Here's just a sample.
We wanted to do better for ourselves, and we couldn't because we had these monthly bills coming in.
Living check to check.
I mean, I was paying probably 15 different bills per month, just like charge card bills, plus trying to do the utilities, and it wasn't working. We were getting deeper and deeper in debt.
We actually have a bank account now. Well, I have mine, she has hers, and she's got a checking account. I have a checking account, which is great.
My wife and I had purchased a farm in 1998. This was our dream, always to have a little farmette out in Wisconsin. Well, it took us all them years to find a little something that we both liked, and we purchased it. Okay. Well, at that time, I was on the verge of maybe losing that, okay? And Scott Tucker turned around, and the loan he had gotten was, he paid off my farm, okay, so that now it's mine. Paid off all our bills. I can't begin to tell you, it's like a miracle. The guy really went all the way out for us, and we love him.
We had tried to get finance from a couple of companies, and when they found out it was a fixer-up, do-it-yourselfer, they wouldn't even talk to me anymore. Well, somehow Scott got my name, and he contacted me, and I think I told him, I said, you're going to have trouble financing because it's a fixer-upper. He will ask you the questions that he needs. Then he'll sit down with you and say, okay, this is what I can do.
Our featured guest on today's edition of Chicagoland Journal is really quite an amazing guy. The things that he accomplishes and the people he has helped, well, you'll see for yourself. Let's meet now our guest, Scott Tucker. Scott, maybe we could start at the beginning and find out from you just how you got into this business, this activity that you're in of helping people.
Well, the way I grew up in Michigan, I grew up in Lansing, Michigan. When I was 2 years old, my alcoholic father drove my mother to file for a divorce. And then so she, being a single mother back in, say, 1975 when they get divorced, had to fend for the both of us. And she only had the income that a registered nurse would earn, and she had to work nights and all these sorts of things. And at different periods of time during my childhood, we would have to move in with relatives to survive, or vice versa. One time my aunt had to move in with my cousins and to live in our basement for a year, in an unfinished basement. I had a childhood that was all right, but it was not privileged in any way, and we certainly didn't have enough money at the end of the month.
So the motivation was not entirely financial on your part. You had a background. You had a history.
Right. There really was a lot of emotional hardship and financial hardship in the past that kind of compelled me to find out this hidden secrets of finance that the bankers and the finance companies and the fat cat bankers don't want you to know. After my time in the Navy, I went to business school and learned some of what I would use now to use the bankers' tricks against them. But it wasn't until I worked for a couple of financial service corporations here in Chicago, one of them having, a couple of them having some pretty big names. I can't name them for legal reasons, of course. Well, now I use all the secrets I learned from the inner workings of those financial service corporations to help my Chicagoland neighbors get the upper hand and an unfair advantage really on the bankers.
All right, Scott, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Really, what kinds of people can you help? Who are they?
Well, I help all sorts of different folks. One of my, what I call Tucker family members, one of my Tucker family members is a couple from the suburbs here. The gentleman is a PhD in biochemistry or something like this at a national, or I guess world-known pharmaceutical company that's based in Chicago. So some folks with some very, very educated people in some very expensive homes, all the way down to folks that are high school dropouts with blue-collar jobs. Really the whole gamut. I've helped folks even that work for the IRS, as much as the IRS is maligned. In the state of Illinois, you name it, a lot of people from the city and county government as well.
As Chicagoland Journal continues, we pay a visit to the home, the very lovely home, we might add, of Sam Aiello. Santo Aiello, to be more formal about it. Sam is a guy, a widower of some 5 years, who got into some difficulty financially, and things were not going well. And he contacted Scott Tucker, and there has been a big change in his life since that happened. Sam, tell me, what motivated you to get a hold of Scott Tucker?
A friend of mine had in fact, his name was Scott. And Scott said to me one day, I tell him my problems and everything, he said, you know, I know this fella, Scott Tucker, and he sent me a letter that he helps people and everything. He says, why don't you just give him a try? I was kind of reluctant because everybody I was calling was, well, we can't help you in this situation, we can't do this and that. Well, I called Scott, and he was very to the point. Don't worry about nothing, just give me your name, give me your social security number. That was it. It was so fast, you know. And I hung up the phone and I thought, no, this probably won't work, you know, that was too fast, you know. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, I get a call. It's Scott Tucker. He says, come on in the office, we're gonna talk and this and that, and I think I can get you this, we'll pay off this, we'll pay off. I couldn't believe it. I honestly, God, I couldn't believe my ears. I said, Scott, are you talking to me? And he said, yeah, I'm talking to you. You're Aiello, aren't you? I said, yeah, I'll talk to you. So anyway, sure enough, I went to his office when, you know, designated appointment, and Scott helped me out. The first time was like climbing that mountain. You know, we got halfway up there, and then Scott eventually turned around, and this last time really brought us to the top. And we feel like we're doing so much better now, thanks to Scott. If it wasn't for Scott Tucker, I don't know where we'd be.
The feelings that you had before Scott Tucker came on the scene for you couldn't have been good. Tell us about the comparison there.
Before Scott, there were times when you know, when you're by yourself having a cup of coffee, we'll say, or something, you know, and you're thinking about all the different problems you have. It really brought me down. It was like, you know, I talk to God and I ask him all the time, you know, please lead me in the right directions and where am I going with this, and if I don't get any help, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I need a miracle. And again, back to Scott Tucker, you know, there was that miracle, you know. He came through for us, and all the feelings of down and out and all that passed on.
Your home looks great, Sam, and I see you're still in the process of doing some improvements. Was what Scott was able to do for you helping out in that regard too?
With the extra money that we got from Scott and everything, we were able to stretch it out as far as we can. We did a lot of shopping, let me tell you, Ted, and for bargains and things, and a lot of work and things that we did here, we did on our own because we couldn't afford really to hire a contractor. But this is it. Thanks to Scott again, we were able to come this far with it. And hopefully within the next year or so, we'll do even better. We may even go back to Scott. We don't know.